Piano Man Steve Lundgren here. I'm sorry, I was just playing along with some tracks that happened to be some backing tracks I put together for the Beatles. I saw her standing there, and the reason that I'm doing that was I was showing off what the skill is of playing with an ensemble, with a group. Because I've had a lot of people ask lately, you know, Steve, I really like all these videos you've been putting out that teaches you, how to be a piano player per se. You know, I have a lot of videos that help people make a fuller, rounder sound on the piano by itself, and they tend to assume that you are, a piano player by trade. But there's an awful lot of people who really are not piano players, but they end up having to play keys in the band some way or another, and they have no idea what the heck to do, because this is, when you play in a rock or a country band, like it or not, they're genres of music that were built on guitar. So the guitar player always knows what he's going to do, or she, and the bass player always knows what he or she has to do, and the drummer's got their job. But the keyboard player, half the time, other than the specific lines that you have to learn sometimes for an odd part or whatever, you have no idea how to just comp, as they call it. You have no idea what you're supposed to do. And so I've had a lot of people ask, will you put a video together and show me how to do this? So I have. I'm going to walk you through. We're going to use a lot of different songs that I have tracks built for as examples, and I'm just going to walk you through the process that I use to decide how to comp, things to watch for, things to listen for, and some examples of things that you can do. And we'll actually do them right over the top of my tracks so that you get a chance to kind of, see it in action. Because it is a much different art form to play with a group than it is to play by yourself. When you're playing by yourself, you're trying to fill up the sound, and so you're using low bass notes, and you're using octaves and things in the left hand and big full chords up here. You do that when you've got a bass player and a drummer and a guitar player, unless a lot of things are perfectly lined up, it's going to be really muddy and it's not going to be very effective. And so you have to learn how to play in an ensemble. And this is good news for those of you who are, you don't really consider yourselves keyboard players by trade. You're just, you're the second guitar player in the group, and you kind of have to be the Red Rover and play a little bit of everything. A lot of times it's very simple, the kinds of things that you need to do to be effective in a group. Because in this song, for example, just to give you an example of what we're talking about here, if I were playing, I saw her standing there just by myself on the piano, it would be like... notes are very full, etc., etc. But for heaven's sakes, when you have a bass player that's already going, you can't get in his way. And you've already got a drummer keeping time, So what do? And you also have a guitar player doing his little... So all of those parts are kind of taken. So you have to take a much more laid-back approach, and you're going... It sounds really boring, but when you play it with the group, it sounds like this. simple. It's more less is more approach, because what am I doing? I'm just thickening the sound that's already there, and I'm staying out of the other people's way. I'm letting the bass player be the bass player. I'm letting the drummer be the drummer. I'm letting the guitar player be the guitar player. I'm helping to thicken the sound, and occasionally I'll use my little licks and riffs that, you know, many of which I teach in my Money Licks Volume 1 DVD, or video for that matter, download. I'll use those kinds of things to fill in a little bit of extra space and give it a little bit of extra color, but I'm not in anybody's way. And that's what you have to learn when you're playing in a band, is how not to be in the other people's way. You have a role, they have a role, and it's about what the entire picture sounds like, more so than what any one player gets to do. So it's a much more team-oriented situation. And there's maybe a little bit less glory in it sometimes for the keyboards, because like I said, this is a guitar world, whether we want to admit it or not. It really is. There have been a few people who've made their own gig out of it. You know, Billy Joel, Elton John, Jerry Lee Lewis, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Little Richard. We have some people who have really made the foundation of what they do playing the piano, but for the most part, for every one piano player, there's like 1,000 guitar players. So this is a guitar-based style of music in rock and country. And so our job is to enhance, but not get in the way of the instruments that really are the foundation of what's happening. So now, does that mean that there's not ever a song that is sort of a piano foundation? Heavens no. If you're going to play a power ballad from the 80s, like a Chicago song, well, guess what? The keyboard part is the main rhythm part, even more than the guitar. That whole... And that's fine, but we're not going to touch on that kind of music right now. I have videos that help people with those kinds of things. What we're talking about is, you're sitting there behind a keyboard and you're supposed to help, you're supposed to be comping along with some kind of rock or country music, and there's not an obvious piano part other than the occasional fill. That kind of thing. What do you do? That's what this video is going to teach you. It's going to show you lots of different techniques and ways to approach it, and it's going to make you a very, very effective keyboard player. You don't have to be the best piano player in the world to be one of the most effective keyboard players available. And that will make you so much more valuable in any group that you ever play in, because you can look whoever is in the eye. If there's a group you want to play in, you can say, look man, I can sit down and I won't be in anybody's way. I can learn the parts and I can comp without muddying up the sound. You have no idea how valuable that will be for most groups. A lot of groups simply don't hire a keyboard player because they can't find one who will do the job without making it sound worse. So it's not that difficult. Less is more. So I'm really looking forward to what this video can do for you. It's been something I've had a lot of requests for, and it's an extremely important bit of information to get out there. I've played in groups and I've played by myself. They're very different art forms, and I feel like I've mastered them both pretty well. So come join me on the art of playing piano in a band, and you know, add that to your toolkit for music. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this little teaser. Come see me at pianomansteve.com, where you can find all my lessons and tutorials. And remember the one and only rule that I live my life by, and that is, if you're not having fun when you're making music, you're doing it wrong. Piano Man Steve signing out.